character. She's smart, she's witty, she is dedicated, okay? She is quirky. What were you thinking when you created this character? I mean, because you could have named her anything, but you also named her your name, Diarra from Detroit, Diarra Kilpatrick. What's the difference between the two? Is there a difference at all?
Ooh, there's a big difference. I feel like Diarra Brooklyn is me in the metaverse somewhere. Somewhere I'm a teacher who's like relentlessly tracking down her Tinder date, but no, I think
So you would never track down the date?
Oh, I would. See, I think the thing is, I met my husband at NYU, so we've been together for a long time, so I haven't done the apps thing. And I feel like I get a lot of my friends asking me for advice or letting me swipe for them, and I feel like there's some naivete on my part, where I'm like, if he didn't call you back, it's because he must have died. And so I think there is a part of me that's like, I'm too amazing to ghost, like you would have to tell me to my face. So yeah, I think I would track down if I were in this position.
So the character and the woman are similar?
The character and the woman are similar in that I was really interested in a complicated Black woman. I was really interested in a woman who could be in her softness, could be in her naivete, could be in her sexuality, could be exploring all those things and still be sort of strong and driven. And I hadn't seen enough of that. And I think also, I was really interested in a Black PI. And I look at this season as the origin story of a PI. And I grew up spending a lot of time with my grandmother, who, she loved Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, Perry Mason, and I spent so much time pressed up against her while she watched all those shows, and it was such a warm, loving environment that there's something really warm to me about those kinds of procedurals. But because those shows are all super Black or super white, but my grandmother, her living room was super Black, it was greens on, and it was just there was plastic on the couch. Yes. I think that world kind of melded together, and I always wanted to see a PI that was Black and then insert sort of some of the comments that my grandmother would be making, like, Heifer, come on, that is now in the actual show.
Literally creating the change and the roles that you want to see. That's what it's all about. So in hindsight, I remember thinking about Issa Rae and how she said she kind of regretted naming her character after herself. In hindsight, how do you feel naming this character after yourself? Because we're watching, we're like, girl, what are you doing?
Yo, I'm a little nervous about it. I just realized the other day, I was like, I should change my Postmates name. I should change my Lyft name. I think when I was writing, I wanted to write close to the bone. So it was just easy for me to use my name. Also, I had developed at FX. It didn't get picked up. I had developed at Amazon. We made a pilot, but it didn't go to series. And then I had developed at Showtime. And when I was writing this, when I was writing the character name, it was almost Diarra. I was Dara or Jaya or something. And something in me was stop hiding. Tell the world that you're okay being seen. And so, I don't know, it seemed to work. It had, from I Love Lucy on down to, Insecure, it seemed like people using their real names worked.
It's also not for nothing a real boss move. No, the character's me. I've named her after me. I'm not giving her a fictional name. I created this, I wrote it. We're gonna name her Diarra.
But maybe I will live to regret it. So we'll see.
We'll see, for sure. What I also love about this series, when I'm watching it, when I watched that first episode, it very much is Detroit versus everybody, is it not? Detroit is all through and through. It feels like a love letter to that city. Talk about your connection to Detroit and why you wanted to plant this series in that city.
So Detroit to me is such a specific tone. There was a story that was in the news when I was little. There was a little boy who was kidnapped from a mall in Detroit. And is anybody from Detroit? Oh, one person. But if you're from Detroit during the 90s, you remember his face because it was everywhere and everybody was looking for him. It was on the news and they thought his mom might have had something to do with it. And it was a big story. And then, maybe 25, 30 years later, just before the pandemic, a grown man walked into a Detroit police station and he said, "I'm him. I think I'm that boy who has been kidnapped back in 95 or whatever." And so they said they would check his DNA, and I was like refreshing the Detroit news all the time, like, is this him? Is it gonna be a tearful reunion? And they checked his DNA, and they found out that he was, in fact, completely crazy. He was just a person who said, "Hey y'all, I think I'm this boy." He was just a total lunatic. And I thought, oh my God, that is so Detroit. That is so Detroit, like where you feel like this is about to be dangerous and riveting, and he's gonna come back and say, "I was kept under a house with crackheads," and and it wasn't. It just turned out to be kind of a joke. And I felt like that's what it felt like to grow up in Detroit, to never really know what exactly was around the corner. And that felt like a specific tone to me and a way into a world, into the Detroit as like this setting that felt like its own character.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that storytelling because, as you mentioned, the story continues to unfold. It's like another story reveals another story that reveals another story. And you're like, girl, where it's going all around.
Layers.
Yeah, there's multiple layers. You're peeling them back like an onion. What compelled you to tell the story this way? Because this is very much something you would hear like at a barbecue or the aunts and uncles, and you like, ain't no way. But it's real.
That's exactly what I said to the writer's room. Yeah. I said, every episode should feel like a dinner party story that starts like, girl, my girl was dating this, and he turned out to be a missing person. Like, it should be, every single story should be that thing that you can't wait to tell your girlfriends over wine. And so I wanted the whole thing to feel like a movie, and then every episode to feel like it revolves around a dinner party story.
I want to talk about the co-stars and the crew, if you will. It's Asia, Mr. T, Moni, played by Dominique Perry, Brian Terrell Clark, Claudia Logan. Talk about them and how they provide this comedic relief, but also very much hold you accountable.
They're fantastic actors. Brian Terrell Clark is right there. Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, we're like, we want every single character to really pop in the way these kind of side characters in Detroit pop, like whoever it is. So, and they all just brought so much authenticity and so much talent to their roles. I love them so much.
Do they ever go off script? Because it feels so genuine at times where you're like, those are my inside thoughts out loud. Like when y'all walk into that wing spot, you're like, yo, I'm a gay man, but I'm also
That line is actually, I took directly from him. Like we were at, Brian is someone who I actually knew before, and we were talking, and he actually literally said that before he was cast, and I put it in the script, actually. But I have a lot of queer Black men in my circle, and I hear a lot of their complaints about their portrayal in the media. And a lot of times they're like, they want to be seen as also like culturally specific, just like other Black men. Like they're from Baltimore, they're from Detroit, they have a certain swag, and sometimes that can be, they can be portrayed in one sort of way. And so we wanted to like really fight against the notion that he would be like the gay best friend that you've seen before, but like he's like, I'm your friend, but if you talk about shoes, I will shoot you. He's a Detroiter first.
Brian, did she nail it?
Yeah.
She nailed it. It feels really good. I cannot wait to see more episodes. You mentioned selling shows. You have sold shows to Amazon, Showtime, FX. Yeah. How does it feel to have this series on BET telling the stories of us in this way for this network?
It feels really good. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a massacre of Black shows right now. A lot of them are being canceled. So I feel really grateful that I'm able to tell Black stories right now. And it's nice to be, at BET where you're not fighting for the right to exist. Like, they understand that you should at least be here, be telling stories. So that part is really great.
And they understand the Black experience, obviously.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like, that wouldn't happen. They're like, oh yeah, that would absolutely go down that way.
The great thing too is that, we're not a monolith. And like, it was funny because at one point we did get a note. I can't remember if it was from BET or if it was from Collabo, but they were like, why doesn't she go to the police? And we were like, she's not going to the police. But that part of it was kind of nice because, we do have Black people that have all kinds of experiences. And so, but the difference I think was by explaining it to them, like, no, I don't think she would go to the police, after seeing the naked Rushman right away.
Were you coding on that one? No, she wouldn't go to the police.
I don't think so, but yeah, but yeah, it is nice to be making art with Black folks and for Black folks and for all the folks, because sometimes I do think that Black female-driven content can get pushed into a certain idea of like it's just for Black women, and it can be for everybody.
We got a little glimpse of Morris Chestnut in
that guy.
Episode. Like, he gets to play your husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, maybe. I mean, we don't know how it's going to unfold.
Yeah, I had to kiss him too. It was disgusting.
Was it?
Oh my God. Have you seen him?
I could only imagine.
Yeah, it was rough. I earned my money that day. No, Morris Chestnut, he annoys me actually because this is true, because he really is a great guy and he's handsome and he's nice and all the things. So he does come back in other episodes.
It's the name too, Francois.
Yeah, Francois. That was my first boyfriend.
So many like real life moments in this series. What else? Give us some more insight. What else is real or like lightly veiled?
Oh, there's so many things. It's like from beginning to end. Yeah.
Who else can we look forward to seeing? That was my first time seeing the preview, because I'd seen the pilot obviously, but seeing the preview of the season to come, I was like, oh, very invested. Tell us what we have to look forward to as the show unfolds. And I should actually note, it said fall 2024 on the screen, but it's coming spring, so you guys don't have to wait that long. It's coming in the spring of 2024. See, she said it. I didn't, y'all. She said it. March. But tell us what we can expect from this series and who else we can see. We saw Felicia Rashad, so many big names.
We have Felicia Rashad saying things that I feel bad about sometimes.
Love that. I can see Felicia asking gritty.
I love her, and she would say, Diarra, can I take out this curse word?
And what do you say to her? What do you say to Miss Rashad at that moment?
It depends. One time she tried to change motherfucker to nitwit, and I was like,
that's not gonna work.
No. But sometimes, yeah. I mean, one thing about really great actors is, as a writer, when a great actor takes over the role, they own it in a lot of ways. And so she would say certain things and I would be like, you're right, that's fine, that's great, because she just got it when she came in. But so we have Miss Felicia to look forward to. The show keeps deepening. It gets more dangerous and more sort of wild and sexy. We have some great performances to look forward to. Who you just saw the beginning of these arcs. I mean, really great performances. John Sally, who I don't know if anybody is young enough to remember. He was. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was on the Pistons back in the day. He plays a role. Cash Doll plays a role. I Swear Vezo makes an appearance. Detroit in the building. Who else do we have? Paul Ben Victor. Oh, Harry Lennox. Yeah, he plays a role. We have a really phenomenal guest cast. Portia, I don't know if New York people know her. She's a phenomenal New York stage actress. And also,
The list just keeps going.
yeah, Julio? Is that what you said?
I said David Sayers, but yes, also Julio.
The list just keeps going. It's so many great
It's so many,
appearances.
yeah, it's really, really great cast. We were really, really fortunate and grateful to get some great people.
I cannot wait to see how it unfolds because, again, just in that first episode, it's like, it's just going and then the layers just keep peeling back. What do you want audience members to take away from this series?
You know, I want people to be entertained. I want people to have a good time. I like the idea of building community by watching something and calling your girlfriends and talking about it or threading. Is anybody threading? Or is it tweeting?
Is it Xing, threading?
It's tweeting still.
It's still tweeting? I'm clearly not.
But I genuinely like the idea of people being entertained by something and it helping to build community. I feel like there's a slightly, deeper theme about how much civil servants have to work to actually do something, to actually get something done. I think there's also questions in here about when she sort of gets into the PI work about if there's any room in our community for self-policing. I think a lot of times you might want to have a wellness check on somebody, but you're not sending, like we discussed earlier, you're not sending the cops knocking on my uncle's door. No. So I think that's an interesting question that the series could answer.
And the layers to it all. My last question for you. Is Diarra extra or is everybody else just not enough?
This chick, oh my God, she's incredibly extra. She's seen too much, she's doing the most. Yeah, absolutely. And for me, that felt like some wish fulfillment. Like, I think a lot of times you just take a ghosting laying down, you take a bad relationship laying down, but I think she's gonna try to get to the bottom of it. And I also just love the idea of like a PI's origin story coming from like, she needed some sleep,
Amongst other things.
And some, yes.
Ambient is what you call it.
Ambient.
Anything else you want to add about this series and just what you hope for as it unfolds before us this spring?
Man, I hope people watch it and love it. I hope you guys...
Did y'all love it?
Yeah.
Great reviews at Rebecca Film Festival. This audience loves it. I think it's going to be loved.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope that people watch it and that they connect with their friends and talk about it and are just kind of empowered in some way. I mean, for you guys, this for me, it really is the biggest manifestation of my life. Like, I'm just like, whoa, I had a dream and it actually came to be. So if anybody here is going, man, I really want to do this thing, like, I promise you it's possible. So that would be my message as an artist.
You've been putting in the work and it's so well deserved. Please give a round of applause for Diarra Kilpatrick.